Greetings. Welcome to Dr. Neil's Spiritual Awakening to Non-Duality. This is Dr. Connie Zweig, and I'll be interviewing my husband who lives in spiritual awakening. You may have heard about this or read about it, but you may not know someone who lives it day to day. We'll be exploring how non-duality developed in Dr. Neil as I've observed it over 25 years, and as he directly experiences it every day. Each podcast will explore a different theme. We look forward to you joining us. Greetings. Welcome back to the podcast. Today we're going to talk about the lesser known chakras, those below the first chakra and above or beyond the seventh chakra. Okay, Dr. Neil, take it away.
So human evolution begins at the first chakra, the one that's at the base of the spine, and continues all the way up to the sixth chakra that's between the brow, the eyebrows. However, majority of human beings are only evolved to the second chakra. So we're not going to talk much about human evolution because that's part of a separate podcast, which you could listen to. So let's start going downwards from the first chakra further down into the chakras below the first one. And once we finish that, we'll go for the ones above the sixth chakra. So the first chakra below the Muladhara, the one at the base of the spine, is related to animal evolution. Animals being the entire animal kingdom. And some beings, let's call them beings, cats, dogs, horses, dolphins, are very close to the first chakra, the Muladhara, and can actually evolve into human form if they're sort of paired together with human beings, or whether they're closely evolved. So let's go down one more chakra. Now we're talking about the plant kingdom. And the truth about it is this is a very wide range of elements. And this too, very large trees can actually evolve and have human form as well. I found that I can talk to the trees and they actually talk back to me. So they can tell me what's going on. And they connect with each other in root form as well as psychic form. So there's a great deal that is happening on this level and evolving. Next one down is the mineral kingdom. And the highly evolved ones are the huge mountains, which also can evolve into human form. And I found that I could talk with them as well and they could answer me as well. So there's a lot of consciousness there for the larger elements. The smaller ones, small minerals, not so much. Below that are the molecular kingdom, so the molecules, and then the atoms, and then the subatomic particles. And these have a different form of evolution. They can't jump into the human evolutionary cycle.
And so do you have contact with these subatomic, atomic, molecular levels?
I can see them because I live in non-duality, and that means that I could be extremely small in my visual, auditory, feeling perception, or I can be very large. So do I have contact? Yes, I have contact, but there's very little consciousness there, so there's not much to communicate with. But there's a capacity to see or understand them.
So we commonly know about the atomic and the subatomic and the molecular levels from high school science.
Right.
What does this have to do with the chakras?
Well, the chakras are really the energetic connections between bodies, between levels. So as we go down, as we go up the chakras from the bottom upwards, they connect with the chakras. The chakras are vehicles that connect the bodies. So a human being, you have a physical body, and that physical body is connected to the emotional body, to the astral body, and that happens through chakras. And those are the common ones that we know from diagrams. So 7 major chakras, 49 minor chakras, and lots of nadis or energetic nerves.
So I'm visualizing this kind of vertical picture of the chakras, like I'm standing there, and these chakras are beneath my root chakra.
Correct.
But I think there's more than that, right? Because as I'm in the physical body, I live in the physical plane of reality.
Yes.
I drop my body, I'm to an etheric body, then I'm in the etheric plane.
You go up to the etheric plane.
And then I go to the astral plane. And I'm functioning in the astral body as we explored in one of the podcasts into the astral plane. So, how are these lower chakras connected to planes of reality?
Yeah, these planes of reality are created before human beings arrive on the evolutionary cycle. So they're created in order to have a foundation for evolution of the entire system, including animals and minerals and plants and humans and even divine levels. So the ground on each one of these planes is there before we arrive.
Yeah, that makes sense. There's subatomic and atomic reality before humans.
Correct.
That makes sense. Okay, so how is that connected to an individual's chakras? Do you know?
Yes. Individuality for human beings only really begins at the 3rd chakra, the one that's at the solar plexus, that body, the mental body. So there's an individuation that comes out of the 2nd chakra, out of the 2nd body, the astral body, the tribal body, to a sense of individuality. So we're really not talking about individuality until the human beings evolve. And if we're looking at percentages, 20% of human beings are stuck in the 1st chakra, which is the narcissistic, sociopathic. The best way to describe it would be
The Trump chakra.
the Trump chakra. That would be a good way to describe it. The caveman, which is eat or be eaten, kill or be killed. So, and then we sort of go up to the tribal level where human beings are collecting together to farm and have agricultural connections and have ownership of land and a sense of connection with each other that's about whether the tribe survives or the tribe doesn't survive. So the individual is not important at this stage, except in terms of what it can create tribally. The real individuality begins at the next level, where one leaves the tribe. And many people have experienced this. Not an easy thing to do, to leave one's tribe.
No, it's not. We call it separation and individuation in psychology.
Correct.
Whether it's leaving the family of origin, the religion, the spiritual community, the political tribe, whatever it is.
So that's the beginning of the sort of human separation from this map of evolution. But all of this exists, the map exists before human beings came here a million years back, before they were cavemen or cave persons.
Okay, so we've explored the 4th and 5th and 6th chakras in other podcasts.
Yes, we have.
So let's go to the crown now.
The 7th chakra is the beginning of the divine levels. So human beings are now, if they evolve to this level, are beginning the divine journey, the journey of non-duality, where there's oneness, there's
Transcendence of individuality into unity.
yeah, that exists, but one moves from duality in the sixth chakra to non-duality in the seventh chakra. And the simplest form of that is, if I look at a tree, I see in the tree, the essence of the tree is the same as my essence. We're not separate. We're not two, we're one. So, of course, I can see the tree as a separate entity as well, and this is not about the tree, this could be about anything. The whole point of it is that the objects of ordinary perception also show, in terms of non-duality, that the essence of those objects are the same as my essence.
Which we could call emptiness or consciousness or...
Non-duality is the best form.
Okay. So the seventh chakra is kind of popularly known as a thousand-petaled lotus.
Yes.
Can you talk about that?
Well, it's the beginning of a very complex system of non-duality. My experience is that my awareness moved from the objects of visual perception, ordinary visual perception, together with a sense of non-duality, to subtler realms. Like I could be aware of things that were not in my immediate perception. Like I live near a harbor. So if I look out of the window, there's a harbor, and I'm one with the whole harbor. But most of the harbor I can't actually visually see with my ordinary eyes. I live in Los Angeles, and I am one with Los Angeles, not separate. I am one with the state of California, that loved and hated state. I'm one with the country, United States, and the planet Earth. And as I expand that awareness of non-duality, I'm one with the solar system and the galaxy, and so on.
And so these objects are outside of your visual perception, but that doesn't matter anymore.
No, it doesn't matter, because the widening of the ability to perceive moves from physical to astral, moves to more and more subtle realms of visual perception. But some people are psychic, and they can see subtle energy systems in the bodies. They can see dead beings like I can. They can talk to them and listen to them.
So that could be on the astral plane or the mental plane?
It could be, yes. Could be on any plane. So there's an expansion that begins with the seventh chakra, with the thousand-petal lotus, and expands to more and more petals until one gets to a point where there's a sense of oneness with the entire manifest cosmos. I say cosmos, I don't mean just the physical universe. I mean the subtle universes too.
And does that include the subatomic and atomic?
It does. In fact, the only way to experience the subatomic and atomic and molecular, besides electron microscopes, the only way to do it is to actually be non-dual, because then one can actually become extremely small.
What do you mean become small? Your consciousness?
Well, your consciousness can actually be extremely small, be outside of space, so that it can manifest its awareness at any place in space and time.
Okay, so you've often said, I am everything.
Mm-hmm.
So if your consciousness is identified with everything, then it all opens up to become available to your awareness. Is that what you're saying?
Non-duality begins with the individual objects of perception as not being separate from the self, and expands all the way to all objects. This in essence the same as the self. So, we can talk about it visually, but there's no objects that are not the same as the essence of self.
Okay, so the local non-duality of subject and object in, I guess, the sixth chakra expands to a vast cosmic non-duality in the seventh chakra.
Correct.
Okay, and the petals sounds like they're openings. This is maybe why some people have siddhis or yogic powers and other people don't, or some people have the experiences you're describing and other people don't.
Right. So the petals are very complex. There's, they say, there's 1,000 petals. I don't know, there are 1,000, but there's capacity to open up huge amounts of subtle visual, auditory, and all five senses. So there's a huge capacity to do that.
Okay.
But there's something more. Yeah. Once one kind of gets to the place where one is everything, then there's an awareness that comes or has come for me that I'm also nothing. And in a sense, nothing being not in time, space, or space time. So I am outside of space time. And that allows me to be anywhere in space time, which is an interesting paradox in a way, but that's the nature of real perception, is that one can open it up at any point in space time, but not being in any point in space time. That's a kind of emptiness.
Let me see if I understand that. So your consciousness is untethered from Neil, Neil's body, mind, sensations, sights, smells, touch. And it becomes one with first a near object and then a far object. So subject object dissolves, near far dissolves.
Yeah.
These dualities begin to disappear,
right?
That's why we call it non-duality. And in part of this process, at some stage, you experienced that you were empty. Your body, mind was empty, and then that everything was empty.
Yes.
The subject was empty, the object was empty.
Yes.
And what can move around in this emptiness beyond space-time is your attention. I don't know what else to call it. That your attention or your consciousness
can manifest at any point in space-time.
Okay.
And that means on the physical world, and that means on the celestial world, and that means on the subtle planes, etheric, the astral, mental,
causal.
So attention is capable of being anywhere because one is not separate. One is connected fully with every plane of existence.
Okay, and let's just briefly keep going into the upper chakras now that are less familiar.
Right. So the emptiness allows us to actually experience any point in space-time. Then there's a 180, a turn around to another level, which is the absolute, which includes everything that one can experience or not experience. It's there. It cannot be known, but you know it's there. It's a very mysterious thing that one is aware that there is such a thing as the absolute, and yet one is incapable as a human being of knowing and describing and experiencing that state.
Yeah, he who says he knows the way doesn't know the way.
Yes.
It's ineffable.
Yes, ineffable.
And yet...
It's like in religious terms, God is unknowable, beyond knowledge. It's kind of like before there was creation, before there was manifestation. And also before there was this manifestation of this cosmos, there is what we would call the unmanifest. The thought and the idea of the divinity, of having the entire cosmic story be present, be thought, but not manifest, not spoken, as some religions talk about. The vocalization of the universe is what creates it, or
The word
the word,
or the light.
or the light, yeah. So before that, there is an experience of this reality in potential. And one can experience that by separating a very small part of the potential. I call it the knower. And that allows one to actually see into this potential without actually disturbing it.
The field of potential.
Feel the potential, yeah.
So is this the eighth chakra?
It's very hard to determine which chakras occur in once one sort of gets to the eighth chakra, because different spiritual traditions have different orders to the manifestation of these divine bodies or chakras. So it's sort of better just to talk about them, to say that there's 6 above the 7th chakra, rather than to try to define which one comes first and which one comes second, because the order is more confusing than worthwhile engaging.
Okay, so the point is that we don't really know much about 6 chakras above the crown, because there haven't been too many people who've reported back. So what you're describing may be the 8th chakra, maybe the 9th.
Yes, well, it's there. It's one of them. And maybe the 10th. It's very hard to say what the order is. But there's more. There are non-dual states of cognition. I guess that's the best word, cognition. States like awareness, no subject, no object, no me, no you, no process, just awareness. Like love. Now, we're not talking about the lower forms of love, like human love or love for animals or plants, or
It's no subject object.
no subject object. No, this love as a precursor for all existence. So people ask me, what comes first, consciousness or love? Love comes before consciousness. And there are many different forms: ecstasy, joy, well-being. There are many different non-dual states of awareness that exist beyond time and space.
So those would be affiliated with the upper chakras.
Those would be expressions of the upper chakra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to come back to the present moment as we wind down here?
There's one more that I'd like to share, which is that non-duality at some point, the fact that there's no I or you or process, cannot exist unless duality exists as well, which is kind of difficult to cognize, but that's what I'm experiencing nowadays, which is that this linear growth through duality to non-duality is actually not linear. It's all there and present at any moment in time, space. And is also there outside of time, space.
Always already present.
Always already present, yeah. And now I can go answer your question. Coming back to the moment, what I experience, I call it total existence. There's nothing that's outside of this existence, this total existence.
Meaning it's all in you and you're all in it.
Meaning that there's nothing that is not fully present and always has been, and is fully existent and always has been. always will be, and is now.
Great. Thank you. Thanks, Dr. Neil.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in today. If you found our discussion insightful, there's a good chance your friends will too. And we'd love it if you could take a moment to share this episode with a friend who you believe would appreciate it. Help us spread the word and reach more people. And follow us on any platform. Turn on your episode notifications so you never miss new content. Thanks for being part of our podcasting journey.